Sinai because they are bargaining, because they sent an email that is unlawful about following up if we wanted to work. The attestation they sent the day before the strike started, that was completely illegal and bullshit. These union-busted strategies led them to pay absurd amount of money to a fucking lawyer instead of paying what we are deserving, which is housing and childcare and better salaries.
Well, we're out here for several reasons. One of them is we're trying to ask for an extension on our housing, that we know for a fact there are many vacant apartments that Mount Sinai they're not keeping track of the housing that they have. Therefore, they tell us things like there's a time limit on the housing, even though we know that many of their units are vacant, and that they're not able to grant us extensions. But we know that's not true, that they have that there's many vacant apartments for them. So we're asking for an extension on the housing because we know that it exists. The other things are for very basic things like paid parental leave, where the current situation is that they want us to use our sick days first before we go on parental leave. But being a parent is not a sickness. It is a human right. It is what everyone has an opportunity to do. And so we're asking them to create a separate bank of days off for people who need to take paid parental leave. And lastly, we're also still fighting for a childcare stipend because, as you know, childcare is extremely expensive. The wages that they've been giving us, they say, are supposed to cover the childcare. However, we don't see it that way. We think that they should create again an additional fund that covers childcare.
We are the union. A little bit louder. We're looking fighting for our contract. A little bit louder. We're looking fighting for our contract. Let this go. We need to stay strong because if they win, the message will be that they can do whatever they want, and that's not acceptable. We need to keep striking. We need to stay in the streets until they lose, and they will lose because we are strong.
I'm not a postdoc, I'm a PhD student, but I look at all these lovely, beautiful faces and my family, my brothers, my sisters, and everybody else involved. And I'm so proud. My heart is full and swelling looking at all you beautiful people standing up to your right. Amazing. My conversation I'm having with my friends and my family and other people in my life, other people at work, the friggin' janitors, everybody is knowing about how brave and amazing all you beautiful people are. Never give up. Push them until they friggin' cannot.
As a researcher, I work every day in cancer immunology. Is this too long? Okay. Essentially, we're trying to find cures for different kinds of cancer, and I'm part of a larger group of postdocs where we work across different disease types at Mount Sinai, trying to understand how the brain works, how people get diseases like multiple sclerosis or Alzheimer's. So it's a very broad range, and we are on the front line working in research every day.
So kind of tell me about the working conditions and what it is you really are on strike for.
Yeah, so right now we're currently on strike because Mount Sinai as an organization hasn't really negotiated with us in good faith. We formed the union last year, so it's been more than a year since we formed the union with a very strong mandate. More than 90% of us, not more than 98% of us wanted to form a union. And that should have sent a message to Sinai that, we're really united in our demands. And unfortunately, they haven't been very good about coming to the table on certain issues. Obviously, the first thing that everyone thinks of is things like salary. But unfortunately, one of the big problems in an expensive city like New York is housing. A lot of us get kicked out of housing super early, not for the duration of our contract. And then we really struggle. A lot of postdocs, especially those with families, spend more than 50% of their salary on rent. And in case they have a child, their childcare costs, again, exceed a lot of times their salary. So a lot of us are rent burdened. A lot of us pay this childcare tax, and that is pushing a lot of us out of science. And so even if some of these directly don't affect me, I'm here to fight for the people who they are affected by it.
Get down! New York is a union town. Get up! Get down! New York is a union town.
I was very worried also to join the strike. It's been only 2 months I'm here in Sinai. You know, one has to justify has been hired. But beginnings are kind of lonely. But what I have experienced these 3 days is such a big and overwhelming feeling of community. I know people who are just about to leave, who are on their very last year. They are doing this not for themselves, but for those who are coming next. This act is what makes society go forward and advance. And guys, you are doing it. You must be proud of yourselves. We are doing history, and we are doing it from the deepest and kindest feeling of solidarity. And hear me out, we are gonna win, okay?
How many of you are on visas?
Yay!
How many of you have been working so hard and all you feel is that Sinai is not listening? I came here and I started my position last year and I was fired within 6 months on the last day. I wasn't even allowed to grab my things. I was asked to leave the building, and I had the most traumatic experience being fired for the first time ever. And the PI that I had took my idea and has been exploiting it for himself. Yet, through the union, I was able to secure a different job and continue working really hard and I know that I will become very successful. And with the help of the union, I know that we can all become successful.
So I'm a postdoc researcher. I'm working on HIV and now mostly COVID. And I'm here because I had my first baby in April. And Sinai kicked me out of housing just while I was pregnant. They actually wanted to kick me out 1 week after my delivery date. So I had to move while pregnant at 8 months. And then I had to use all of my sick days for parental leave. You don't get any parental leave with Sinai. And now more than half of my salary is going to childcare. And we don't get anything, any help from Sinai. So I'm here because women need to get the choice to have a baby and still work in science.
And what is the reason why they kick you out of the house?
So you only get housing for 3 years. That's something they decided, and it's the same for everyone. We can have postdocs usually last for 5 years, but you get kicked out of housing after 3 years. Yeah.
Can you tell me about, besides that, can you tell me about some of the conditions?
I'm sorry. What do you mean? Okay. So the minimum salary had not changed since 2019, I believe. And now with the inflation, it's like impossible to live on a salary. I know some of my friends had to. So once you get kicked out of housing after 3 years, some of my friends couldn't live by themselves, so they had to find roommates or something. Like you cannot afford living in New York City on the Sinai salary. So it's just, yeah, incredible.
So I'm a postdoc here, and I have been working in like gastro department. So we work with patient samples, which is really critical for research. My supervisor is really supportive, like he has supported me the whole time. But Sinai as an administration seems to be failing with what they are doing. Like they threatened us many times. They will threaten us with a visa that if we form a union, it against your visa, which is not, it's obviously a lie. For doing the strike, they made an illegal move. They made a form which is not allowed, that which makes the workers be fearful that they will lose their visa, they will lose their jobs, they cannot strike. So this is a lot of wrong which is happening. And there are new researchers which are actually afraid of this because they think that they will get fired really quick. So this is also about job security, getting better benefits. I have 3 degrees before I started postdoc. I did a bachelor's, a master's, I did my PhD in Europe. But then coming here, US is considered a good place to do research. But getting peanuts for something very important is just waste. So this is why we are striking, and then I know that we will win, but very soon.
Like all of you, I was like initially really worried about striking. You know, we are all putting in our individual work on the line for this. But it is important. It's important not just for us, but for the next generation of scientists here in New York City and everywhere else. Everyone's looking at this and everyone's keeping an eye on this, even if a lot of us are not saying things out loud. So we need to hold strong and we need to hold Sinai accountable.
I'm a PhD worker here, and I'm here because our struggle is the same struggle as yours. We all know what it's like to work for Sinai, to deal with what this institution puts us through. You know, like from my personal experience, to like go to the dentist and realize that our insurance is leaving me out like thousands of dollars for a root canal. Or like...
I'm so happy to see you out here today, yesterday, Wednesday. Although part of me really believes that we should not have to be out here. Not necessarily because it's cold, somewhat it is, but we should be here and our work should be valued so much by Sinai that I really say, okay, you know, there are people making somewhat the minimum, like the minimum salary for postdocs, barely survive in New York. For PhD students it's even worse, and they did not move a lot. And it feels like a dream when it was like, okay, can we really form a union? Is it possible? And Sinai, this is actually one of the good things, that Sinai keeps trying to dissuade us, they keep trying to threaten us from the very beginning, when it was about, oh, postdocs, they want to form a union. Why do they need a union? They're postdocs. They come and they go, they bring money, and then they leave. It's perfectly fine. And they say, okay, they said, for international students, maybe you get deported if you join a union. And we're like, what? Okay. But exactly. Why? Why? There's so many postdocs from other countries here. I think Sinai would not do a good job if they said, okay, we send all postdocs back home, because who would do the work? Who would do the work?
So a fair contract is in which you get fair housing, nice compensation, and a fully paid maternity leave, which Sinai is currently not providing. That is a way.
And now, I spoke to a few people that Sinai has kicked them out of their houses or give them a certain time. They don't get maternity leave.
Yes.
They want them to use their sick days. Tell me something about some of the working conditions.
So basically, the last raise was given in 2018. So first of all is, there is not a single institution which gives like Sinai. Every institution gives yearly raises. But in Sinai, the salary is fixed for 5 years, which is insane. And that too in the inflation. So from the last 2 years, I have not got any raise. On the top of that, even after serving 2 years, I'm going to be in maternity leave, but I don't have any maternity leave. I will be paid 60% of the salary, which is not enough for the rent. And they are not agreeing for that. So a fair contract is the sufficient compensation, equity, and because postdocs are also parents, so you should not be like choosing between postdocs are overworking, but less paying since 2018. So Sinai has to listen to us now.
And you must spend how many a couple of years in school getting your degree and
Yes,
spending
so
money on.
typically 3 to 5 years in the PhD, and from the last 2 years I'm working in Sinai. So I expect I should at least get 8 weeks fully paid maternity leave.
We are really part of a movement way broader than just our institution. And I think it's despicable and disgusting what these institutions that pride themselves in being progressive do to ourselves. That, you know, you are on a strike, you are demonstrating that you can win things that you need, that you have power, and that you are absolutely required for Mount Sinai research mission. And that they are trying to scare you on the strike with the attestation form, as they did in Colombia when we were threatening a strike as well, threatening with visas, that we will have issues. These institutions just pride in their fear, that's what they have. But we do have something much more powerful, that is when we work together, when we join our forces, we can rethink our working conditions. And that's what we are doing here today.
Yeah, I'm a postdoc, I'm on strike. So right now there are hundreds of postdocs we are striking for increase of salary because salary is so low. And also we are striking, fighting for the housing because there are only 3 years for housing, but most of us, we spend there for longer than 3 years. So after 3 years we need to move out, which means we will spend extra like 2,000 or 3,000 money to pay for the rent. And also for the child care, many postdocs, they have children here. So it was very stressful for some of them. I understand that. Yeah.
How long have you been working here?
Several months. Yeah, but yeah.
And what are some of the working conditions like?
Sorry?
What are some of the working conditions like? Are the working conditions okay, or is it just wages and housing? And I know a lot of people don't get maternity leave.
Just as people know that the postal work is full of stress. We have a lot of work to do. 7 days a week, maybe more than 12 hours a day. So we need to come to the lab anytime when needed. So actually there's no like holiday, no weekend. The salary actually, we postdocs, we have PhD degree. In the industry, we can get double or triple salaries compared to in academia as a postdoc. Everyone knows that. But we want to get a higher, to pay more to our future career development to be a PI. So we want to.
What's a PI?
PI is principal investigator. Yeah, it's kind of like the professor. The pathway is to be professor in academia. Yeah, so yeah, we really pay a lot to be a PI. Yeah, but right now the postdoc uni is 4 to 8 years for a postdoc. So but at that time, most of us, the age is like 30 years old to 40 years old. We have family. Many of them, we have kids. But only with this little money.
And you can't see your family because you're working 7 days a week and many hours a day, right?
This is our full-time job. Yeah, we have family, have kids to raise, and in New York. Yeah, if we don't have if we need to move out, you know that the rent, right, 3,000 or 4,000.
Yeah, rent's
maybe
expensive,
more.
Groceries, childcare, everything is so expensive in the city.
I mean, for the housing, it's almost the money. We almost paid like 6% to 8% for the rent in New York. It's crazy. We cannot survive here.
Yeah.
If only one people work as a postdoc here, yeah, it's the reality. We cannot survive.